8 things that I learned after living in China for over 10 years. My name is Mar. I'm very happy that you're here. Welcome to my account. And let's start with the first one. Sleep before 11 p.m. Why is it so? Because our liver will be detoxifying from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. upon Chinese traditional medicine, and therefore the next day you can wake up and feel refreshed, and your liver can work at full capacity or at the best capacity possible, because with time I guess it gets tired and damaged, especially with the kinds of food that we intake or the air that we like, the whole toxins, the toxicity overall in the body. So it's key for us to sleep before 11 p.m. for our liver to have this time to reset itself, to clean itself, to rest and have its own process. I am guessing you guys do not sleep before 11 p.m., most of you. I learned this in a very early stage when I was living in China, because I have a very tragic story which I'm going to be telling you in a further video to come. I got pneumonia, just like it was in the case when people got pneumonia from COVID, and I ended up in the hospital. And that was a very not pleasant memory to recall, but I will tell you in another video why and how is that I learned this. Somehow I knew previous to that, but I ended up doing this forced, because otherwise my immunity system was not really reacting until I really stick to that sleeping time, and I saw a huge difference. So I know that I'm posting this video a little bit late, maybe for some of you. Maybe you can get some rest and watch it tomorrow. However, I'm very interested in which is the time that you are usually going to bed and why. My favorite time to sleep, is gonna be around 11, and I'm gonna be waking up for 5 a.m. I really like early mornings. Okay, next. Second, make friends before you make business. So usually Chinese are very peculiar in this aspect. I know that everything is made in China and people go to China to search for factories, suppliers, products, whatever. Even myself, I have my own business about this. I'm gonna leave you all the details of my contact info down below, in any case you are wanting help with that. My team is in China 24/7 working. I don't mean it from a exploitation kind of point of view, but I mean we're always working. Okay, so people will say that in a way that makes you feel comfortable to approach them, and not you will feel fearful of approaching either the supplier or the company or the sales staff, because you are forced or somehow you are having this pressure to purchase something because you already approached them, or you already kind of spent their time reviewing info, or spent even their somehow money in a dinner or so. So they will be don't worry, we will first make friends, and after we can talk about business. Meaning maybe it's the case that in this time we are not gonna make any business, but that doesn't really matter. What matters most is to make the bond or create this contact or this connection for you to have me in your contact list, and also for me to have you in my radar. So I find this very interesting, because usually in the western side of the world, like Mexico, USA, I'm not sure about other sides like Australia, UK, guys watching from there, hi. Okay, Mexico, USA are very close, we are neighbors, and we have this mindset that if you are contacting a company or a salesperson of a business, or you are reaching someone, either for services or products, it's very likely that you are gonna talk straight to the business. Like, there's not gonna be a lot of preamble or preface about anything. And you're not gonna ramble around any situation, because we are there, or we came into contact for the purpose of making business. And if it's not like that, then just like, okay, bye-bye, I'm not interested in you, you're not interested in me, it's like, whatever. In China, it's not like that. It's very nice. Of course, you need to be aware of Mandarin, or like the language, in order to get more into their culture and their mindset. So they'll be like, no, 不用交际，我们先做朋友吧。O sea, it's like, Spanish. First, let's just make friendship, and business will come with time if it comes, because they are very smart. How to say, in this way, they feel they are very good hosts. So somehow you will feel comfortable, you will feel this hospitality, and you will feel also very like welcome to even introduce friends to their business, or just have them, just have like knowing them and get to spend time with them, salespersons, business, whoever is like in contact with you. It's just like, it feels pleasant. So they make business first bonding with this other one, and somehow they work things into business. For us, it's more straightforward. If we want to make business, we just get together to talk about business. If it's not the case, then why will we be wasting our times? They don't, I mean, maybe inside of them they also have this thinking like, oh, I'm gonna waste them, but it's already cultural. Like, you have to go through these procedures sometimes, or these steps, to first be familiar with each other, to spend time together, and business can come after. But first, no need to worry, no need to rush. We can make friends first. In Mexico, it's a little bit crazy. Nobody is thinking we're gonna make friends if you are approaching a business or a client. It's like, we are business, your client, this is our relationship, very cold and straightforward, and there's not much around it. Like, yeah, I'm guessing also maybe in the USA and in other countries is alike. So this is very interesting. I learned from it, and somehow I like it, because now I don't see others just like somehow a transaction, like she or he will be selling me a product or service, or me will be selling them a product or service, and that's gonna be our main purpose of interaction. They instead learn from each other, just like to fight the best battle, not fighting, but like study the other part, the other side, and also treat each other like yeah, we can have a good time together. Nonetheless, we perhaps are not making business the time, but business can come with time. Yeah, not a very straight cold kind of way of like tackling business. So I like this very much. What do you guys think about it? Number 3, they eat a variety of I learned to eat a variety of plenty of vegetables. Usually, although I'm like in a plant-based diet, or I follow veganism, in Mexico it's not very common that people are very like keen to consume a lot of vegetables. Even vegans, they will portray the vegan diet as like let's say soy tacos, or whatever, plant-based protein tacos, or hamburgers, or this kind of other like quesadillas, whatever kind of Mexicanized, veganized dishes, or American ones, pizza, hot dog, this kind of not very healthy foods which barely contain any vegetable. And I observed how Chinese ate. As you may also be aware of that, they have their lunchbox. Usually, if they even go to like these expos, even then they will not be grabbing whatever hamburger they're selling on the expo, like a catering venue. They will be taking themselves their own lunchbox, or even there will be catering special for them. Always the carb, which is very plain and very like, I mean, not processed. It's just like white pure rice, not like us, like processed flour with some grease on it, like let's say butter if you are on a normal diet, and or a big piece of steak, which is gonna be like the main dish is just a big piece of steak, a little bit of mashed potato, which is very greasy, very oily, very carbohydrate I have to say, high caloric, and just a little bit of veggies on the side, like just a little bit. In compared to them, they have like their bento, their lunchbox, which is mainly contains a big portion of vegetables. Of course, some of them have like a big portion of rice. Supposedly they don't call eating if there's not rice in their meals. And supposedly the rice gives them some kind of force because it's a carb. I get to understand that. And there's just a little pieces of meat, but it's not like a big steak that is very hard to digest. And therefore, usually, like Westerners, whenever they consume this kind of big, I suppose, I'm not saying, I am just guessing upon what I see, they will feel lethargic and tired because, of course, to digest this big piece of meat takes a lot of time and energy from the digestive system. And therefore, you will feel like, oh, I want to take a nap. Instead, them, although they also take naps after lunch, they eat a bit of meat and the rest is more veggies. And yeah, sometimes it's just a bowl of rice or maybe 2 bowls of rice. But I've seen that they do eat a lot of vegetables. Even from the morning, they already breakfasting on broccoli. Like, ew. I mean, I love broccoli, but garlic broccoli for breakfast is like, ew. It's a little bit too salty. They eat 3 meals a day. And each meal is almost the same. Like vegetables and rice and a little bit of meat. Vegetables and rice and a little bit of meat. But I mean, it's full, plain white rice, non-processed, or you can call it this processed. I mean, but you know what I mean. The bread is all processed thing with flavorings and stuff, and just a pieces of meat. And for the breakfast, they will eat one kind of vegetable or two, and for the lunch, they will eat another kind of vegetable or two, and for the postre, the dessert, they will have like fruits like watermelon and some others. And for the dinner will be also the same salty thing with other vegetables. So they always consume plenty of different vegetables. And this is what I learned. Even the vegan restaurants in China, as you've seen in my videos, they serve like so many different kind of vegetables, like fried, sauté, cooked, like in soups, like with rice, like with other kind of like plant-based meats which they create. But these dishes of vegetables are like sumptuous, like huge and very fulfilling. In Mexico, it's very hard, almost impossible to go to vegan restaurants here and ask for vegetables. They will just be thinking about a salad. I love salads, by the way, but sometimes I would like to have a warm dish, just like in China. And here it's not common. Maybe in the USA, if you go, let's say, to a Thai vegan restaurant, then they will have Thai soups, Thai dishes. But also, if you portray vegan or plant-based diet, or even a common diet, what I mean is like even us, that's what I was trying to say. Even the vegan community are not thinking that much in a lot of veggies. So Chinese do eat a lot of vegetables all the time. no matter vegan or not vegan. So this is something we have to learn from them. Instead of eating a big piece of like meat, just reduce meat and have unprocessed carbs at its best. They also eat a lot of sweet potato for that, and like different varieties of vegetables throughout the day. Number 4, do not take things too personal. Like, we all need one another. This is a great one. Seriously, I was like very unaware of that, because it comes somehow in hand with the second one, like make friends before you make business, for the same purpose of it. Like, we first make this connection or this bond with one another. So in order for the relationship to be somehow like friendly, and it's not just we talking business is supposedly to be on the second hand. And in here, or in the West, at least in Mexico, sometimes it is like that in a way, but I will explain in another video how it differentiates somehow. But like, let's say we're talking business, and the supplier in Mexico, the wholesale supplier, just didn't fulfill my expectations. So I will just straightforward be like, okay, I'm not doing business with you anymore. We are done. And that's it. Or even I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to be cutting him off, not even like communicating what is that I feel about the business, how is that I'm not satisfied, and how is that he could be doing things better or compensate for this or that. When I started my business with China, I was myself purchasing from the suppliers or talking to them, and I was very harsh. I was like, okay, you did this, that's so low, that's so bad. There's not forgiveness. I mean, I will not be explaining all this, but I was like, okay, this is unforgivable. Like, I'm just gonna move on and look for another one. And I did so. And I remember there was this one time where we had a very popular product, and I just kept burning one supplier after another. And after a while, we kind of needed the previous suppliers. Like, my assistant told me, like, why don't we call them? And I'm like, no, I said we're not doing business with them. Why we should be reaching to them once we are just like taking them away from the equation of our business? And she was like, you don't have to be that hard. At the end, like, everybody needs each other, and like in a very kind of somehow humane. I know that some people might not think the Chinese are the most inhumane at times. Yeah, for some issues, perhaps they are, and not very compassionate. But I learned this the hard way also. Like, just running out of, not suppliers, because there are many, but I couldn't keep that pace of like just like taking each one of them away from our view, instead of like communicating and arriving both of us to our like meeting point where the supplier and us could be satisfied. So from that point on, I left my assistant to handle the situation, because she was more aware of how Chinese business were done in China, and I was just very ashamed of my behavior at that time, like bossy behavior. This was not nice at all. I just feel, however, these are lessons, and I'm just sharing with you because it's nice to do not take things too personal. Like, if someone did something or said something, also, let's say you will be angry with one another, and in Mexico it's like, oh, forget it, I'm like go away forever. Yeah, like, I'm blocking him or that supplier or that client or whoever. I'm not doing business with you anymore, with that partner, let's say. But in China, it's not like that. They get angry, and after a while it's just like, okay, let's get back to business. And yeah, we can fight, we can be angry for this or for that, but we are still knowing and are very aware that we need each other, so how we can keep going. So that's why when you're walking the streets of China, you can see people like really screaming, yelling, like wow, very like heated situation, and you feel kind of scared. But just be calm, because usually, not all of the time, but usually it will get calm and they will just be speaking normal after a few minutes. So this is normal, and I think this is a great point of how to say, it's just good to take that situations not personal, because things happened. So just let's move forward and don't take that personal, as I'm never gonna do business with him, or I'm just never gonna partner with that one again because that happened. So yeah, I really like this one. Somehow you also don't have to carry or like the burden of like that situation on your shoulder, and always be remembering that, or like hating on what he did, or how did he happen to do that mistake. So number 5 is do not drink ice water. Ice water, supposedly upon Chinese, it's not healthy, from the reason that our body's temperature is warmer. So we should drink warm water because it's at body temperature, and somehow the body receives it better, and is good for your health. By the way, if you are an American here, I know that you guys drink a lot of ice water. And ice water, it can be somehow a shock for you because of the different temperatures. And they also like to let me see if okay, just I prefer to drink hot water now for many different reasons. Especially I'm women, they say we should keep our womb warm with warm water, because for women issues is better for birth. If you have your womb cold, then maybe you cannot have children, and you will have like painful periods. And overall, supposedly they just not supposedly, like they think by heart, and maybe they have like somehow proved after all these 5 or 6,000 years of history that warm water is the way to go. So you better start drinking warmer water and not iced. Number 6, squatting toilets are better for you. And I'm gonna tell you one story. Now that I went back to China in April and May, I was so amazed that, I left China 2019 because of the COVID situation. I didn't know I was not going back. I was planning to go back 2020, like right after Chinese New Year. So since I wasn't back for all these years, 20, 21, 22, 23, until 24, wow, that's almost 5 years, I stopped squatting. Previously, I was squatting every day for more than 10 years when I was living in China as a student, and after that. And when I went for my first squat in the toilet, I couldn't stand up anymore. It was so hard because I lost practice, and somehow I lost the mobility in my knees, and it was it was really uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm holding, I need to stand up. And it was very hard. I got how they still have the flexibility, even if they're 70, 80 years old, and in the parks doing like crazy flexibility exercises, or like just taking around their grandchildren. There are a lot of like Chinese going around with grandchildren, just like, here even 40 or 50-year-old person sometimes is not as capable as them. They're at 80 doing such things with their grandchildren. Is because squatting is great for your bowel to empty the whole thing better whenever you go to the toilet, compared to if you're sitting there. It's just a better position. And second, I saw myself, I experienced that for the knees mobility overall and the strength of your legs, it's just a great thing to do on an everyday basis for every single day and year of your life. Of course, it somehow helps the elderly to have less knee problems than us here in the West. In Mexico, like the majority of the population after 40, they have knee problems. Okay, and number 7 is gonna be hot tea after a big meal. Flush out the grease or fat from the meal. So I have this friend that usually she was very pretty and beautiful and she was always in shape. And one time we went to have dinner together. She was like, my mom said if I want to stay in shape, I should be drinking always after these big, like copious meals, green hot tea. So they will order always like green hot tea after, and somehow you could feel like it was really hot. Somehow they serve the beverages hotter than here, even to the point that you cannot even hold the cup because it's too hot. So the green tea, it's bitter, and it has some fat burning properties, plus the hotness of the water together just makes a bomb somehow for the grease in your body to like melt, I guess. So if you are not drinking green tea, and hot green tea, plain, not sugared, not the iced tea that you drink in the USA with a bunch of iced and sugar, at opposite, you need to drink it hot and pure, like leaf green tea. Then you should start doing that for your health and to lose some pounds after a meal, for digestion and to make the oil melt. And number 8 is a thing they will always refer to things like, let's say I'm desperate and I feel like frustrated. They will be like, man lie, like just go step by step or little by little, all you doing fine, just do not be worried or stressed about it. Like it will come with time because you are on the way. And this always impresses me, like how they have these expressions which also somehow reveal their mindset and culture, like the 5,000 years of like mindset and culture. So this is like, just take things easy and be perseverant, and somehow you have to make it because that's the way. This is so different from our fire Latino character or straightforward American go-getter, like let's get things done now. Like it's just, I like that. It's like, although you can see they are always busy or overworking or exploited somehow, like work over hours and all these things, they seriously somehow things like no man lie, in a way of not stressing itself or oneself, not rushing things, not pushing against what is like happening, just like go with the flow, but like still go, and somehow you will arrive. And I really like it, this mindset, like man lie, and like, what do you mean man lie? You guys are overworking, what are you telling me? But it was very interesting to have lived in China for all those years and have learned so much. So these are just 8 things that I learned, but of course I learned much more. And if you would like me to do another video about them, or also please comment about the things that you learned during the years that you were living in China or travel China, working with Chinese people. Maybe in your country you can also learn from them, not even living there, and I will be reading you. Another thing, guys, if you want to get in contact with me regarding anything to do with business with China, feel free to check out the links down below in the comment section and description, and also be welcome to support me.